Okay, guys, why I stayed in a sexless marriage for 7 years in my 20s, right? Well, the answer is you took what you could get, pal. Now, I want you guys to notice this is a very good looking man. So, all you lookism crowds, forget that, okay? Let's hear what this guy has to say.
I wanted to tell the story of how I ended up in a sexless marriage for 7 years during my 20s. First of all, let me say that I believe that we are many people in our lifetimes, and the person I am now is very different than the person I was then. I just feel that I've kind of inherited his memories. And I'm sure the person I was married to is a different person than she was back then.
Then why don't you hit her up again? If you failed because you were different people and you've changed, you might be worth hitting her up again, right? Notice he doesn't consider that.
I have no contact with her. You'll find out why. Anyway, by way of background, I was brought up to have very low self-esteem. It was a necessity in order to survive in my family because when I objected to my parents' dysfunction, I was punished for it. And my idea of what women should be like was shaped by my mother when she was.
Okay, so your idea of what women are like was shaped by your mother. So all the inaccuracies that this guy has about women was placed there by his mother. So this is just more proof, guys, that mothers damage their sons. They gaslight them because they're not worried about their sons. They care about strange women that they've never met over their own children.
Yes, pressured by my father, but exploding in unreasonable ways. So I thought women were, you know, my model of women, I wouldn't have called it unreasonable, but it was based on unreasonable behavior. So when I encountered.
That notice there's almost no description here. Matter of fact, there is no description. How come you didn't mention what your view of women was in any detail?
That later, I was very accepting of it. I thought it was normal. Also, I was driven, well, I was forced to be very good academically and to really push myself to perform no matter how I felt. So I could be having a horrible time with my parents screaming and me not sleeping well, and I had to do well in school. My whole.
Yeah, your parents want you to achieve status. As a boy, you don't care about status because you're free. You're a human being. But your parents don't see you as a human being. They just see you as a vehicle for themselves. That's true.
Sense of being the. I was loved more when I did well in school.
Then you weren't loved.
And kind of shamed when I did not. Always compared to the guy at the top of the class, and I had to be better. So I came from
Yeah, your parents are status obsessed. That's true. That's right.
this environment where I don't really take much care of myself. Okay, I was going to the gym from the time I was 13, so physically I take care of myself, but mentally, emotionally, I didn't take care of myself. I didn't expect to take care of myself, and I didn't consider myself someone worth taking care of.
Well, that's what men in general are. That's what men in general have to deal with. All men are taught to self-sacrifice because people don't like men. They don't consider our humanity. We're supposed to sacrifice for the opposite sex. That's who's important.
And I had very poor social skills. I was from a mixed
Oh, by the way, everyone, women with poor social skills get men at a drop of a hat. Okay.
cultural background. My mother is Sri Lankan, and I'm just noticing the sun is going out. Okay, hopefully you'll still see me. I'll just post this later anyway. Um, my mother is Sri Lankan, and she mostly raised me, and my father didn't really have much input, so my.
Of course, because the father's job is to work to keep the mother around, right? Neither one of your parents cared about you, right? Your mother sees you as a tool for other women, and your father, you're just men don't care about families. They care about keep the woman, right? So he's working continuously to keep this woman around, your mother, and you're just you're just a what's that word? Oh yeah, you're just a consequence of sex, you know.
My cultural coordinates were very off. People found me rude and too direct, but I thought I was just being honest and being myself.
Well, you were being honest. You said people don't like men, dude. That's just it. uh, rude girls get laid.
So I didn't have much social calibration, didn't have much success with women, and then when I am in
Again, guys, this is a really good-looking man. So success with women has nothing to do with your looks, and definitely not your personality.
when I'm in my early 20s, I start to have a social life, meeting people from the part-time job I'm working at the supermarket after work. And I get together with a girl who is in that social group, and that's my first girlfriend. So I kiss for the first time, age 22.
Yeah, see you guys, women deselect men because they're not interested in us, right? This is a really good-looking man who didn't get touched until he was 22. That is becoming standard, okay? And men haven't done anything wrong to get the girl. Women were just never interested.
And then the relationship is quite turbulent, and there are red flags, like her lying big about little things and giving me ultimatums for very small things, like wanting to do things on a different day, or having different social priorities. But I thought, okay, no one else wants me. She must be the one.
Thank you for admitting that. Men take what they can get. So this idea of choose better is an insult to men. Because the only choices men have is take what you can get or do without, right? You chose to do without because you were in a sexless marriage.
And also, like I said, I'm used to putting up with unreasonable behavior. And there is a lot of sexual chemistry. We didn't have sex. By the way,
There was a lot of sexual chemistry, but you didn't have sex? Okay.
also very religious at this time. I wasn't raised with religion, but I had a Christian conversion when I was 16, and so the idea of self-sacrifice also really played into the mix here.
Dude, Christian women don't self-sacrifice. So this actually has nothing to do with your religion at all. Matter of fact, the church has actually changed over time for women's demands. So you're self-sacrificing because you're a guy, and men are expected to self-sacrifice. It's because people don't see you as human being. You see that?
But we didn't have sex before marriage. We did kind of everything else. And I thought, well, even if there are all these dysfunctions in the relationship, at least we can't keep our hands off each other, so things will be good in that department. And then as soon as, well, actually I was kind of manipulated into marrying. I don't want to go into too much detail there, but again, the stuff you're raised with can be continued by partners.
It would have been, it's really important that you gave details, how you were manipulated, right? Otherwise, you're not really telling guys anything.
And when we get married, as soon as, well, within the first few weeks after we get married, she starts withdrawing and becoming more distant and
Okay, so there wasn't any sexual chemistry, was there? There was only sexual chemistry for you. She was leading you on, right?
the sex goes from a few times a week to once a week to once a month to not even once a month to once every 2 months.
Exactly. She was never into you, pal. She wants a workhorse provider.
And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And she says, "Oh, I'm so tired from like having to travel 1 hour each way."
Yeah, she's gaslighting you, right? Uh, Part of the emotional abuse that men go through is that women are never honest with them. I mean, every woman, any guy who tries to, talk to women and actually ask them about these issues, he's always going to get gaslit. Always.
Way to work. So I move us to like 5 minutes away from where we were living. So 5 minutes away from where she was going to work, so she didn't have far to travel. I buy the best mattress I can find for like £1,000. And, I'm massaging her back and neck every night, date nights 2 or 3 times a week. Whatever she wanted, she had.
Yeah. See, hear that, guys? Oh, this is why you should spit on trad cons that say get your life in order. That this guy, this handsome man, is doing everything in his power to get this woman in the mood. She's not in the mood because she was never interested in you as a sexual person or as a person, period. Right?
Like Louis Vuitton handbags, holidays to the Caribbean, and the whole weekend was based on what she wanted. And nothing I did made her happy. Nothing was good enough. And eventually, I go to a psychologist and say,
Oh, that's bad news. Let's hear this.
well, my wife is wonderful. Like she cooks for me, she makes me tea, and yeah, that was my basis of wonderful. And I'm going to ruin my marriage if I keep on having to talk about it. Because every time I wanted to talk about it, my wife would say, well, you've just set us back 6 months because you've upset me now. And the more you talk about it, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah, she puts all the blame on you, right? Now does this psychologist say anything worthwhile?
And I had to talk about it because I was feeling like I was the ugliest, most horrible person in the world. That even my own wife, the woman I love, won't touch me. I must be crap. And that feeling of crap was a fuel. The feeling that I am a piece of crap was the fuel to make me work so hard to try to please her. And she got nice material things from it.
Yeah, it's a sunk cost fallacy, dude. You just put more and more of your emotional energy into someone who doesn't like you. Duh.
And I know that sounds really strange for people who have more healthy relationship experience, but
Dude, you think other men aren't going through the same thing? That's how relationships are. Your relationship might be a little more extreme, but the guys who have it better just have a lesser version of that.
this was what I thought was the best I could get. I had no better reference point than this.
Well, it was the best you could get because no other girls were hitting on you, right?
And I'm going to CrossFit at this time, surrounded by hot CrossFit girls, and I'm staying faithful to this woman who is not that fit and doesn't even want to touch me. Because I gave her my life, I gave her my promise, and I thought if you work hard at something.
These other CrossFit girls that you were surrounded by weren't hitting on you, were they? Because if they were hitting on you and had options, you would consider it.
Then eventually it'll work out for you. And she told me she loved me, and I loved her. So
Yeah, she lied. What can I say? And do I believe you loved her? I mean, tell me the qualities this woman had that you loved. It just seems to me she has none, right? So whatever you love about her, you're projecting onto her.
why wouldn't it work? Eventually, with the psychologist, I go from thinking, okay, this isn't working. Maybe I need some space I definitely need some space I'm going to get some space, and if she won't give it to me, I'll divorce her. So I filled out the divorce paperwork myself, And I, it's a very complex story, but in the end, she begs me not to divorce her. And
Yeah, because you're her provider, dude. You're her provider. That's what she misses about you. That's the only thing you are to her.
so I start putting a separation agreement together. Then she puts in a divorce against me, says I don't need to pay because she's sorting it out. Then her lawyer starts chasing me for money, so I have to find a lawyer. And then she empties the house and goes to Las Vegas with our savings because I found out that she was hiding money in an account at her parents' address and not telling me about it.
Yeah, of course. Of course, you slave. What do you think? She's going to respect you at all?
So the whole separation agreement fell apart. And then there's 2 years of fighting. During which time I have no idea if my possessions in my house are safe and whether I'm going to be able to keep any of the earnings I'm making and trying to rebuild my life. And in the end, after
What do you mean by rebuild your life, right? You've never had a life to start with. So what you mean is gain more money to bribe the next girl. That's what men mean when they say rebuild my life.
much reluctance on her part,
By rights, dude, your life is better now. Your life is improved. You got rid of her. So now you can do what you want and enjoy your time. And you're still unhappy. Why? Because you're still chasing the next unicorn.
I managed to get her into mediation, and she finally gets what I offered in the separation agreement in the beginning. So after thousands of pounds spent on lawyers and a lot of stress and a lot of time, no better off. Complete waste of time. The divorce showed me what she was really like. I think you only see someone's
Well, actually, she told you from the first dude, you admitted it. She treated you like shit from the start. So, I mean, come on. How many hammers to the head do you need to understand?
true nature at their worst times. And what was shocking for me was like, how can someone's whole life mean nothing to you? How can someone's hopes and dreams be something that you throw away because you can make them feel bad and they'll buy you nice stuff? Like, in 3 months in, I was Googling divorce, and I said to her, look, if the reason you don't want to be physically intimate with me is because you don't find me attractive, please just let me go. I will make sure you're fine. I will send you money every month. Just
See that, guys? This is typical relationship between men and women. The man is upfront and honest, and the woman is a liar.
tell me and it'll be fine. She said, no, I love you. I want this to
Okay,
work.
she lied to you, obviously, dude. She disrespects you so much. She hates your gut so much that she could never do anything but tell you lies.
And I had no idea about like this plan B in the background, that she was like keeping the money aside and like that.
There is no plan B. You were plan A. She was going to use you until you left. And she was hoping you would stay your entire lifetime being used by her. And this woman wasn't interested in men, dude, because so far you haven't mentioned that she was sleeping around, right? So this woman you got together was not interested in men at all.
That whole time, 7 years. And the thing that made me hate her, and I went from feeling like
The thing that made you hate her, really? You mean the usury and lying and gaslighting? And you're finally coming around to hating her now?
okay, this is a nightmare, I just want it over, to actually actively hating her, was during the separation, when she said she'd move out in a week or two, and I was sleeping on the floor. It took 6 months. I was sleeping on a yoga mat in another room so she could have the bed, and I was paying the bills, trying to be a gentleman.
Oh, trying to be a gentleman, so a slave. That's what that means, guys. When someone says gentleman, gentleman is just slave.
And during that time,
I got to cut this guy some slack because his mother destroyed his brain before she got with this other abusive woman. So, I mean, this guy was born into self-loathing.
We had sex once, and she said to me, "Why was that so good?" And it was like for 7 years, it could have been great, and you just were, "Oh, I'm not comfortable. Oh, I don't
It could have been great for you, not her, dude. This guy's still lost, guys.
feel like it." You just had to fucking try. But she wouldn't have tried because she didn't respect me. Therefore, she couldn't find me attractive.
Finally, finally, this guy came to the right conclusion, which is probably not that attracted to men anyway. Because, like I say, if she was, she'd probably be sleeping around on you, pal.
And then since this marriage broke up, the next girl was this really beautiful Spanish girl, and
Here we go again. This is what I mean. He's rebuilding his life. He's gaining more money to bribe the next user into his life.
she kind of basically used me for sex. And my friends were like high-fiving me, saying, "Well done, you got with this really hot girl." And
Hear that guy? This is important. This guy is telling us what's in a man's mind. Men want intimacy from women. They want to be loved for who they are. So even though this guy got his sex, finally, it didn't give contentment to him, right? This destroys the men just want sex business. That's projection from women onto men.
I was like, well, I just wanted to.
Women just want sex from a man and his money. You want the money first, and his status first, and to bang them when they're horny. And other than that, but women are not into men's humanity.
To love me. And as much as that naivety sounds funny, there is some truth to it, that I wanted sex to be bonding. I wanted it to mean something. And
exactly. Thank you, dude. And if you're considering that naive, then you should stop trying to get together with the opposite sex in the first place. Because it's always going to be that way.
Now that my body count is in double digits, I kind of wish I didn't have sex so easily with some women, or even not even full intercourse, but sexual intimacy. I kind of wish I'd saved it for women who deserved it. But
dude, you have, like you just admitted, your body count was in double digits, right? So where are these women who deserve it? Like, how come all the women who are willing to have sex with you weren't worth it? So all the ones who are worth it aren't interested in you sexually? I mean, come on, dude. Start thinking deeply about what you're talking about.
the reason why my sexual ethics changed was so often I would try to go slowly, getting to know a girl, and then some other guy comes in and, like, within the space of like a week of meeting her, has slept with her, and then she's chasing him and is falling in love with him just because she's got this oxytocin rush from sex. And I guess, I've told.
Well, she was just horny, and you were more brainwashing, playing it slow. She was in the mood. You should have went for it, dude.
Short pickup. And by the way, that's not all about short-term sex either. There's probably about half the guys are looking for a girlfriend or someone or a wife or.
Exactly. They're just like you. They want intimacy with someone who values them for themselves. That's right.
A mother of their children.
I hope all you guys are taking notes here.
So it's really mixed bag. But one thing that does come out to that is the need to be upfront sexual, because that's the thing that kind of converts just meeting and talking into a romantic relationship.
Dude, why would you be upfront? Because women in your life have demonstrated to you that they don't respect upfront. Like, you may as well lie and just get what you want out of the relationship. Look at how your life went. You wasted years Matter of fact, you wasted your youth chasing people who don't even respect you. Come on.
But now I think maybe the girls that I needed to be sexual early for were not necessarily the right girls for me. Maybe I should, and I was right.
So there's this special girl that you just didn't go for. You went for the women that you found attractive, right? And they found you attractive, and none of them are good enough for you. Like, dude, obviously the woman you're talking about doesn't exist.
Right to want to save it. I think there was something really beautiful about wanting to have this sacredness with one person, and I just chose the wrong person. I wasn't.
So sex with a woman is sacred. Oh my God, men really worship the opposite sex. This guy hasn't learned yet. And he's putting the blame on himself again. I just didn't choose right. You've had multiple partners, dude. Like, you really think it's just a coincidence that happens over and over again? It's like playing poker and someone keeps coming up with straight flushes. You say, "Oh, I just don't play cards well."
Capable of choosing the right person. Like I said, my whole experience of life was not suitable for that. I didn't know what healthy relationships were. I hadn't seen one before. So how was I supposed to choose?
So you haven't seen one, even with all the women you banged, you haven't seen a healthy relationship. Even seeing other men, you even admitted the other men were looking for girlfriends and wives. This is incredible. That's like a guy going to a house, looking in each room and finding no furniture. And he says, "I know, I just haven't searched the whole house yet. There's furniture somewhere in this house."
In my last video, I talked about how genuine burning desire is necessary for a real sex life within a long-term relationship or marriage. And I stand by that because genuine desire cannot be negotiated. Once it's lost, it's very difficult to get back. And I think,
Look, dude, the love bond disappears. It has a shelf life. I believe they gave it anywhere between 6 months and 3 years. So you might find some woman that's gaga for you in the very, very short term, but it wears off, and then you're stuck in the provider role, like all men are.
if you are with someone who does not want you, who it may be reactive.
Well, dude, you were with women who wanted you, and they weren't good enough for you. This man is a lost cause. Most men, I'm sorry, are lost causes. You don't want to be this guy, guys who are coming in and watching this video. You don't want to be him because all his experience hasn't taught him anything. So I'm here to teach you something. Consider just living for yourself. Realize that you're never going to find this woman who loves you for yourself. So if you want intimacy, yeah, find these women who are willing to bang you. Don't pretend that she's going to love you and for who you are, and that there's going to be pair bonding and she's going to be the one. Get that out of your heads. Okay. So we're ending it here.